Okay, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
Okay, great. So yesterday we just touched off on the uh, little concept here, what swap is. So today I'm going to actually show you how to increase the swap, okay? So the command to see the memory is free hyphen h, and this is the real memory, and this is the swap memory here, okay? And you will have a time that the swap is being used up. So right now it says a 1.6 GB. So we're going to increase it and using the physical hard drive, okay? Let's take a look how we're going to do that. So okay, you mount.
But Zafar, you mount -A will unmount everything what is in FS tab, or it will unmount with what we have mounted through mount command as well.
No, in FS tab, what we have physically added in there,
Hmm.
it will remove that.
But if we have mounted something temporarily using mount command, will that go away as well?
Yeah, that will be gone too.
Zafar?
Yes.
What I observed is that when I did the U mount, and I also put the command. I mean I went to the FS tab and put in the UID, the mount. I was not able to unmount it. I was saying it's busy. So is that something just with the virtual machine issue?
No, you were in that folder, so you have to get out of the mount.
Yes, I did get out of the folder, and then I umount. I would still get it busy.
Okay. Do you have more than one Windows open? I mean, more than one party session there?
No, just one. So I had to like restart the putty and restart the Linux, and then eventually it would just unmount them.
Okay. I mean, you never know how things are going to behave, but
Right. I just don't know if
in
there
that,
was any issues with the virtual machine.
no, yeah, actually, yeah, you will run into these issues, and then when something like this happen in on your job, then you would end up creating a change request for the if it's a production box. If it's not a dev box, you just request the restart. If it's a production box, you have to open a change request. Okay, I'm going to explain that later. You have to there is a change request application. You have to go in there and fill out what is the issue, what is it causing, all that, and then it goes to your manager. They approve it. They go to director. They approve it. And other teams which are involved in those with that box, they will approve it, and then they will set up. And then, all right, if you could go on mute, they will approve it, and then there will be a time that you have to open a tech call. 3 or 4 people will join from different teams, and then you will restart the box. Okay, yeah, you will definitely run into those real world production problems. Okay, so let's see here. I'm going to remove everything here. I'm going to keep like a fresh drive so that you could understand better, okay? Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a partition here as normal using fdisk. Okay, in here you have like extra drives added here. So these are like extra 3 hard drives. Okay, so let me show you here. Okay, this is the box, and I have this is the root drive. This one has to have one in there, and then this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. So we have 3 disks in here. Okay, so let me use fdisk command to create a disk /dev/sdb and hit enter, and then let me see if any partitions are there. There are no partitions. I'm going to pull up menu here, and I'm going to select N for new partition, and then you want to create a primary partition, yes, P, and hit enter. You're going to give partition number 1, enter, and then it's telling you what is the cylinder size. Nothing, hit enter. Over here you type plus, and I want to give the swap size 2 GB, extra 2 GB. So I type plus 2 GB and I hit enter. Okay, and let me see P. Okay, 2 GB is there, so let me write and exit. Okay, but now there is an important step here. So what you have to do is you have to set the swap, which is going to be the hex code 82. So I forgot about that. So over here we have a hex code as 83, right? So but let me go into help, and then I'm pushing L, list of known partition types. Okay, so let me push L and hit enter, and let me expand. Okay, so 83 is the default one. This is the one used by Linux all the time. And then you could use 82. We need to use 82 Linux swap. Okay, so let me see if I want to change partition system ID. Okay, so I'm going to push T here. Okay, I'm pushing letter T here because I didn't change the partition system ID. It took the default one. So I hit enter, and then now I still don't know which one is it. You could go in here and type L, and we're going to select 82 here. Okay, so it's asking for the hex code 82, and hit enter. Then do P again, and you see the ID is 82. So when we're going to use this as a swap file, is going to remember that this is a partition is set as swap file. Okay. All right, good. So now let's go ahead and write this. Okay, it did right, I guess, right? Did it? Yeah. So now, normally what we've been doing at this moment, we've been let's do lsblk. Okay, let me type PROTech/dev/sdb. Okay, so it found the partition here, lsblk. Okay, so the 2 GB out of 8 GB, we're using 2 GB for the swap partition here. So if you look at this diagram, this is what we just created, 2 GB here, okay? So let me stop it here for a moment. So this is dev/sdb. Okay, so this is the and how much is this? This is 8 GB. This is a 8 GB drive. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna make a partition out of it, and we're gonna just split that into. Let me see, split cells 2. So we have /dev/sdb1, and how much is it? It's about 2 GB. So we're not using the entire disk, we're using the partition here, okay? All right.
So Zafar, as soon as you put that swap command in there, the system automatically knows that that's the memory that needs to be used.
Nope.
Okay.
I'm getting there. So okay. So we did this here. Okay, and so now the disk is there, right? But so there is a special command to make that partition as a swap partition. So what is the command? The command is simple: mk swap. Then you give dev/sdb1 and hit enter. Okay, so it says setting up swap space, version, size, and we didn't give it a label. If you want, you could give it a label. And this is the UUID, okay? So let's do LSBLK. So right now it's not showing anything here, right? Let's see here. Okay, so what is the command we used? We used mk swap sdb1. Okay, then you do LSBLK, and then what you do is right now it still says 1.6 GB. Okay, so what you have to do is for now you have to turn this off here. You have to turn the swap off. Okay, what is the command? It's just simple here. You type swap off. That's it, and hit enter. Okay, then you type free-h. Oh, sorry. So before that, you have to see what is the name of the swap in the .etc file. Okay, let's see here. This, this is just like a unmount command. So which one is swap here? You type swap off and you type this here, swap. This is the name of the this is the name of the of this is the name of the mount. Okay, why is it doing this? Okay, let me try this here. The entire name here. Okay. So either you could use the mount point or the entire name wherever it says underscore swaps. Copy that and then type swap off and give it a name here. Okay. So let's type free hyphen h. So right now the swap size is 0. Okay. What is the swap size? Swap size is 0 here. Okay. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and type swap on. SWAPON and hit enter. Oh, I'm sorry. Swap on slash dev slash SDB1. Okay. Oh. You know what? I shouldn't have unmounted the very first time here. So let me just go back and turn this on. Okay. Now you should see it was 1.6 GB right before. So we added another 2 GB, which is this box. Now the swap size is 3.6 GB. Okay, so the swap space has increased from 1.6 GB to 3.6 GB because we added another 2 GB in there.
So Zafar, when you turn off the swap, do we just turn on the swap again, turn it off, turn it back on the dev mapper, or do
Yes.
we? Okay, so don't turn on the dev slash SDB1, right?
Yeah, don't do that. That was my mistake. So
Okay.
in the instructions, I'm going to just type dev SDB1.
You mean the other command, the dev mapper, right?
No, I shouldn't have used that one because when you're practicing and don't even bother turning this off. Initially,
Okay.
I have showed you turn this off, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me remove the one we just added. That way it makes sense. Okay, now this is the original one. Okay, it has a swap size of 1.6 GB. Okay, now we're going to increase this. How are we going to increase this? We're just going to type the command swap on dev slash SDB1 because we made this as a swap partition.
Got it.
Swap on slash dev slash SDB1. Okay, no errors. Then you type free hyphen h. There you go. Now the swap size is 3.6 GB. So what's going to happen when you restart the system?
It's gonna default back to the original because you didn't add that in the FS tab.
Yeah, you got it, man. Doing great. So what you have to do is you have to make it permanent in the FS tab. So how are you going to do that? So cat slash etc slash fs tab, right? So how am I going to do that without actually going into the fs tab? So this is something new I'm showing you. Echo slash, what else you could do is you could actually copy this here. Yeah. Okay, let's see if it's going to work. What is happening here? Can you explain me? Somebody?
So what it looks like is that you're just echoing another command into the fs tab using the two less.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, greater than sign. So
Yep,
that just adds it.
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm appending to the fs tab. All right, let's carry it and let's see, the entry should be there. Okay. Now let me mount hyphen a, mount hyphen u mount hyphen a, free hyphen h. Okay. Mount hyphen a. Okay, so let me go ahead and unmount the swap, and then let's see, when I'm going to reboot it, the swap is going to come back. Okay. Swap off slash dev slash sdb1. Okay, let me do mount hyphen a. Okay, it didn't came back. Let me go back in there. Actually, vi slash etc slash fs tab. Okay. Okay, I think there was a space issue. Mm. Let me restart first. Okay, I'm going to restart. Hopefully, it should automatically mount it. Okay, let's take a look.
So it looks like when you restart it and when it automatically mounts it, it'll also be the swap on should be automatically on also, right? Or
Yes, yes.
okay.
Because in fs tab we are specifying it's a swap. It's a swap partition here. Mm, yeah, right here it is a swap. So we'll see if it should map here. I'll be surprised if it doesn't. Okay, yeah, there you go. Okay, so let's see here. Okay. And then I'm going to just put in here. Okay. All right, good. Any questions so far? So right now, this partition is swap here. You could go ahead and create that partition is use it for something else. The rest of the disk space available. Okay. All right. So by the way, when you're practicing, use your judgment here because over here I'm using this SDB as swap here because I started it again, and then somewhere else up here I'm using SDB1. So don't get confused of what I'm using here. So I'm starting it from the scratch, okay? Uh, create a partition as normal.
Just a quick review. To create the what you call the swap, you go into the F disk and then just click capital L, and then hit the 82. That's the code.
Yeah.
Okay.
When you hit L, you will see all the available options there.
I think question about Zafar that if we can create swap partition without using T switch. So at the first place, can we specify the 82 hex code?
Um,
Like we created with the default, which was 83, then we use T to change. That's the normal procedure, or is there any way when we're creating, we can specify the hex code?
we could go ahead and try it again. So we already have this here as a swap partition. We could definitely create another one.
Yeah, I tried, but there's no, in those 4 steps, there's no.
There's no option, right?
Yeah. Unless there's a hidden switch.
You
Yeah.
give N here, P as a primary 1, and then
Then it's just a partition number, and then it will create.
new P, partition number 2,
Yeah.
cylinder,
Yeah.
okay, plus 2G.
And that's it.
Okay, yeah. So you actually have to go back and change it. So you push L here, and you get all these options here. So it has. I mean, these are not limited. There's a lot more partition system out there. Okay, so these are the ones which are supported here, but we're not worried about it. We're just worried about the swap and Linux. That's all.
Is there any particular ones that we should know um, for like interview or on the job?
Yeah, just for the interview, 82 and 81, and some crazy guy would ask you about GPT. That would be triple E. I mean double E. I never ever got asked about this. I Now what we're gonna cover later on, and LVM. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. Where is LVM? Yeah, 8E. This is very important. Somebody might ask you what is the LVM hex code. It should be 8E. 83. Remember 82, 83, and 8E. You could remember 83 and 8E as LVM here. So that's what I'm going to cover right now.
There's one for IBM ThinkPad. Isn't ThinkPad has its own file system? Normally we say
Good ask
ThinkPad
me,
is
my
laptop.
friend. When you're installing Windows on it, it probably does NTFS. It says ThinkPad High. I have no clue there's one out there like that. So BSD, and BSD. This is what Apple iPhones use. BSD, BSDI, and DOS. There's so many out there. BIOS. Yeah,
For
I never.
interview, because if we just tell that we can see all the list, there's no need to memorize. Just use that L1 and system will show you.
Yeah, I mean that's what you think. But if you get an interview, or if the Indian guy is taking an interview, he will expect you to know all that. So, but hopefully you won't get that. They stress too much. They stress too much on technical stuff. But anyway, you are getting prepared for all this here, so you should be good. I mean, the important thing is you practice a lot, and the all those files I'm creating, the small tidbits and everything. Go ahead and practice those every day. Practice this, okay? Because I'm splitting this up and putting as a separate files, so you don't get lost. Go in there and then okay, you are practicing extended partition. You're practicing this. You're practicing. But let me bring this up here. You should have a very good command on the regular commands and then a VI editor. VI editor, you should be doing it really good, okay? Because that's where you will be typing. You'll be doing a lot of typing in Linux compared to Windows. So let's see here. So yeah, you have to be very good in here. I haven't put this too many up lately, so I'll update in here the ones we are doing. Make sure you're practicing is this a lot and the VI editor. And the other ones are, you're not going to remember it. These are like all the engineering work here you'll be doing. You will be working, you won't be going in there and then doing all this on a fly, because all these are defined SOPs. There will be a documents that you will have in your group that you will be following those documents. By the way, what I'm creating here, all these documents, these are SOPs. What is SOPs? Standard operating procedures. So I have defined you how to create a disk label, right? This is a SOP. Okay, and then your own team will have a standard documents how to do all these tasks here. So you could put on resume that you have created SOPs. Okay, all right. So, mhm. So I'm going to start fresh here. We're going to start working on LVM. I think I covered everything here. Give me 1 second. Let me just verify. And of course, you could use, not just this. You could use the UUID, and you could also use the label. UUID, you could use label, or you could use mount point. Okay, so what this is /dev/SDB is a mount point. In generic terms, when you're talking with your teammates, what is the mount point? Somebody asks you, and then if you they are referring to this here. So what your answer would be? What is your mount point for that swap file? So you have to give the answer /dev/SDB1. This is considered as a mount point. This is the mount point for the folder.
But under normal circumstances, if it were not swap, this would be our disk, and in order to this would be our partition, and in order to use that, we normally mount to a folder, right?
Yes.
And that folder would be mount point, right?
Yes.
So in case swap, it's a different that we are saying the partition is itself a mount point.
Yeah, it's our mount point too, because it's which partition you're using it.
Okay.
But in the swap scenario, you're just referring it to as a swap.
Okay.
So if I cat it, we are giving you as the mount point, and then what is it as a swap, and this here. Similarly, over here, this one is a mount point, and it's mounted to the root directory, and then the partition type is ext4. Okay. By the way, here you could create one partition as ffx, and you could also have another partition of ext4. Okay. Let me go ahead and demo that anyway. So let me just do it so that you know.
So, in this the line which we said, okay, dev/SDB1 is a mount point, swap is a partition type. Then what is the next swap and defaults and 00? What is the technical?
This is usually the directory we are mapping it to right here.
Okay.
But instead of directory, we are saying the system swap. So swap takes 3 references here. One is this one here. It's using this as a swap, and then we using this as a partition table as a swap. And then also we gave this directory, or with this mount point, the ID, which we gave it 82. So the system recognizes as a swap file and will treat it as such. Okay, you are clear? You have
Not really. I want to know that when we say defaults, what is defaults to, and 00, what that 00 means towards the end.
Oh, this part?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is used as a dump file here, but I don't come across in daily life as too much. But there is a values you could set here, 1 and 2, and on the defaults here. So normally, if you have like a more partitions here, you would work with application team. Default dump file would be 1, and then there would be 2 here too. So if you come across, normally you work with the application team to figure out how you're going to set this here. But most of the time, what you would see is default is set to as 0 and 0, or it's set to 1 1 for ext4, ext partition here. Okay, for
Okay, so
FSX, you could set it to 1 and 2.
okay. So if we don't do then this is we didn't set this up, it was automatically set up.
You physically have to type this part. You have to. So the best practice is go in there and then copy what is actually already there. So if we creating another entry in here, normally go and copy the same thing here. If it's ext4, give it ext4.
So there's a quick question related to this. Let's say if we had created another swap partition on a disk C, let's say dev SDC1 with 2 GB, so and we mounted here, so our total swap would have been added to 2 plus 2 plus 1.6, right? 5.6, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so somebody's sleeping.
It's Ramadan, so
Oh, come on, man! I feel so fresh. All right, I'm gonna mute. Okay, so let's go ahead and play around here a little bit crazier thing here. Let's do that. Okay, so swap ext4 xfs on same hard disk. Okay, so let me clear this here. So what we're gonna do is I'm gonna create fdisk /dev/sdb and hit enter, and then I'm gonna go and then I'm gonna create new partition, and then I'm gonna create a primary partition, and then is that gonna ask me partition number 2. Okay, so out of 8 we have, okay, so I'm gonna give you 3 GB. Okay, I'm gonna look at it. So it's set to a Linux ID, and then I'm gonna go back up here. I'm gonna create new. Okay, and then I'm gonna create primary, and then the partition ID would be 3. Okay, cylinder would be default, and then it should take rest of it. So let me see for let me just hit enter. Okay, yeah, looks good here. So we just created 2 partitions here. Let me do W and R of it. So I wrote it here. Let me do LSBLK. So it's not showing. So let me type part x/dev/sdb. Okay, now it's showing there. LSBLK. Okay, so it probably won't show it until we make a partition, the file system. So I'm going to create one as a ext4 and another one as xfs, mkfs dot ext4 /dev/sdb2. The device doesn't exist. Okay. Cat proc partitions.
I think Zafar, we should have seen the partition without even formatting, without even making file system.
SDB1. Oh, I'm not even seeing anything.
Yeah. So, I mean, we don't need to create a file system in order to see this partition.
Yeah. BLKID maybe? SDB1 is showing here. Why is the SDB2 and 3 are not showing there? fdisk/dev/sddb. The partitions are there. SDB. Okay, so let's type part X.
Did we write? Zafar?
Yeah, we wrote it, right? We're going back in there.
Yeah.
We are going back in there, just checking it, right? So it's written there. We could write again. Part X/dev/sdb and hit enter. So it's recognizing it. Partition 2 and 3 is there.
I think after rebooting the system, it might recognize it.
We don't have to do that. Okay, now it added something. I ran this command -a-v. So this is, I think, to add, and v is verbose to show us. So it should show up now.
But why are you saying the error adding partition 1?
Because partition 1 is already there.
Okay.
Now it's showing there. So mkfs.ext4/dev/sdb2.
ext4. You're missing 4.
Okay, ext4. All right. And mkfs xfs sdb3. All right.
Somehow we are not seeing your screen, or at least I am not seeing that that command which you are typing. Okay.
Yeah, okay, I think I'm wrong, writing a wrong command. mkxfs/dev/sdb1.
There needs to be a dot in there, a period.
Right here, I put down dot here, right?
Oh, okay.
/dev/. Okay, let me check. Okay, so we have to use T. SDB SDB3 is there. MKFS-T. Yeah, SDB2, SDB1 is there, 2 is there, because we made a partition.
You have the PROTech -V-A.
I thought I did I? See, I did this.
But don't you have to do with number 3? Oh, you're okay.
Let me do 3. Part-X option device whole disk. Last arg is not whole disk. MKFS XFS dev/SDB3 invalid block count.
I think, Brother Zafar, this is where we didn't enter the block size or last argument, so we thought it's going to take default.
I pushed enter so that it takes the default size. Yeah, it took default one, which is we have 2 GB and 3 GB. I gave it the number, and then 3 GB. Okay, so maybe let me delete this, and then 3. And then plus 3G. Okay, so it's out of range, so it's not exactly 3G is left, but okay, let me do part-X. Error adding partition 3. Why is it doing errors? Cat proc. You see, it's seeing partition 1, partition 2, partition 3 is here. It's in memory. Let's see here.
Can we reboot and see if this stays in there?
Yeah. If this okay, so I don't think I have to give it as an XFS file.
I think we should try for 2 GB.
I'm sorry?
Because 3 it was saying out of range, so you mentioned that we don't have enough space maybe left. So we should try maybe 2 GB instead.
No, I didn't try 3 GB. I hit enter, so it took whatever is left. Okay, so
Okay, can we delete that partition and create with 2 GB especially?
I just did that, right? I mean, I didn't delete in the partition number 3.
3. Yeah.
I'm going to write an exit, go back in there. This is more partition, new. I'm going to make create primary, and then I want
Number 3. Yeah. 2G.
Okay, so plus
2G. Yeah.
2G.
W. Right.
Yeah.
Make fs dot xfs.
Okay. Next reboot or after you run part probe or
I think
part.
let's create the file system here. Make fs dot xsf.
Yeah. The thing is, it's telling to do the part probe here. Let me run that.
Okay.
Warning. Kernel to read the partition tab SDA device. Device SDB. As a result, it may reflect. Okay, so let me do part X / dev / SDB. Okay. Now I think it should work. MKFS -T XFS / dev / SDB 3. No. Oh, MKFS. Oh. Alright, so we don't have any choices to reboot, okay? I'm gonna reboot.
Use make fs dot xfs dot xfs.
Like this?
I can see now, but it's make fs dot xfs and then dev sdb3.
It says command not found.
Do we need to install the XFS command maybe?
No, we've been using it all along.
No, but Zafar,
Yeah, it's there.
yeah. This one.
So let's see here.
I recall that you mentioned that the XFS is not available on CentOS 6 or ZX 6. It is available only on 7.
No, that was Gdisk.
Okay.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, you're right. No, you're 100% right, because XFS is not supported by default, but you have to install XFS. Okay. Hmm. It worked.
Teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork. Now it's showing XFS file system here, right? over here, type it says XFS here. Great. So
So this behavior is very similar to Windows, but for that, like in Windows, we can create partitions and then format them with FAT12 or NTFS or whatnot. Likewise, we can create a disk and then we can have a multiple partition with different file system, right?
okay. Yeah. So actually, let me delete it and then go back and then make it the entire disk. It's okay. Split cell. So this is /dev/sdb2 3 GB, and this is ext4 file system. This is /dev/sdb3. This is 2 GB, and this is XFS file system. Okay, so okay, now then what you need to do is mkfs.ext4 dev/sdb2, then mkfs -t.
You typed SDB3, but
Okay, xfs dev/sdb3 2 here. Okay, all right, so let me just make this as a block. Which one looks better here, so that this is like a red flag for Red Hat 7?
Maybe the green.
This green is good?
Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Okay. Hmm. You didn't copy the box. I have to do this. Hmm. Well, okay. So this is a different file partition system, and this one is different. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make it in, save it in FS tab here. So vi/etc/fs tab. Okay. So how would you normally do this here? Normally what you should do is you should copy this here. So I delete this and /dev/sdb2, and then we're gonna mount it to um, ext directory, and it's a ext4. Default is 1 and 2. So default is 1 1. Okay, let's keep it that way. In 3 XFS.
So Zafar, are you creating a new directory?
Yeah, I will after this.
Oh, okay. So that doesn't automatically create the new directory. You have to.
No, it doesn't. No.
Okay.
Now you have to change here to XFS. Okay, this is what you have to do. When you mount it, you have to change it to XFS here. And again, you could put in UUID and label, and all those things should work here. Slash is that what it is, right? extdir in. So what should I do? I should type df-h. So and then free -h swap is there and all that. Now I'm going to type mount -a. Okay, so it didn't give us an error, but it mounted us. It did a mount for us. So if I type df-h, you see SDB2 and 3 is there.
But Zafar, is there any best practice to create the mounting points like in MNT folder under root, or we can create under root?
No, normally the extra ones other than A, if it's going to be B, C, D, anything else is going to be all this going to be used by application team. They will give you the path.
Okay.
They will definitely give you the path. Okay, so let's see here. Good. mkdir / etc x ext dir mkdir / xfsdir. Okay, and then enter in /etc /fs tab. So either you could use any of these here, right? UUID or okay. Let me just copy this. Okay, and then what does it look like? So the only thing that is changing is the file system here. Everything else looks the same. Okay, good. Okay, so we have successfully demonstrated that on a one single physical hard drive, you could have like a multiple file systems on it. Okay, so that's good. Okay, so we have another half hour, so I'm going to start on LVM. Okay, LVM is nothing but logical. LVM stands for logical
Volume.
manager. Okay, all right, good. Okay, so let's study a little bit about LVM, what it means. For some people, they may not know what is LVM. So So what LVM is, you could have like a group of physical disk, and then you can have a group of physical disk. You can combine all disk as one single disk. Then you could create partitions on it, and can be used as multiple mount points. Okay, all right. Okay, so here, let's say I'm starting from scratch here, okay? So you mount -a, df-h. Okay, and okay, I'm gonna remove the swap to swap off /dev/sdb1. Okay, lsblk. Okay, I'm gonna destroy sdb1 and start from scratch here. Okay, so that I could demo this. Okay, so what I have here is I have 3 physical drives here. I have 3 physical drives here. 1, 2, 3. So in real world scenario, a physical server, I think IBM, it could handle about 13 or 15 hard drives. And more than that, it would be the external storage drive here. So we're not worried about that at this moment. So here we have 3 disks here. One is 8 GB, another one is 16 GB, and another one is 16 GB. Okay, so let's take a look here. So start fresh with 3 multiple disks to create LVM for this demo. Okay, so what do I have here? I have 3 disks here. So I have SDB, which is 8 GB. Then I have SDC, which is 16 GB. Then I have SDC, which is another 16 GB. Okay. So we have 3 disks here.
So it should be SDABC, right? I think it just mistyped.
What do you mean 3 ABC?
SDB, SDC, and SDC again. So type is this typo.
D.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
SDD. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right here. B, C, and D. Good. Thank you. So we have these drives here. Oh shoot. Okay, so for visual purposes, SD is a little bit smaller. Okay. So we have three drives here, and which are different size here. So let me just give it a different color. One is this size, another is this size, and another is this size here. So we have three disks here. So what we're going to do is we're going to combine all three together. Okay, and then we're going to make it a one drive, one single drive here. So how are we going to do that? That's the beauty. So it's 32 total 40 GB, right? Okay, so what happens here is we are taking three physical drives and making it a one logical volume. Okay. Can you see this? Okay, let's go ahead and do that. How we gonna create this here? So the command to do is pv create. The command is pv create. So what does the pv create stands for? PV create. This stands for physical volume, and then we're gonna create it. Okay, so how if you type PV create is not going to do anything, right? So what we're going to do is PV create, and we have to give the volume name here. So PV create slash dev slash SDB, and then hit enter. Okay, remember these are raw disks. Okay, you're doing on a raw disk. You are using this on raw disk. No partitions or data on it. Okay, so I hit enter. So what it did is it had successfully created a physical volume SDB1. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do that to SDBC, and I'm going to go ahead and do that to SDBCD. Okay, so now all three disks are part of a one volume now. Okay, so how are we gonna see what is there? So you type the command pvs. Okay, so don't worry about this. This one has been created by the system here. So when we type a command physical volume state, it will giving us what is that physical volume doing it as. if it's doing SDB1 is, it says LVM. SDB2 LVM version 2 it's using, I suppose, and it's giving you the size, how much size is being used here, and then how much is free here. So it's giving you, when you type PVS, it's giving you this information here. So far we have created or made this 3 disk ready to be a part of a bigger logical volume here. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to create the volume group. So we created the logical volume. So we right now we haven't added this three disk to this volume here, but we're going to make a group and then create it into a volume group here. So the volume group is going to change. So here it's a physical volume, this is physical, but we change the format to LVM here. We are making it ready to make it a volume group here. So what is the command? Okay, before that, okay, so we type physical volume PVS to see if they are ready for the format logical volume here. Okay, now we have to create a group. VG create is a next command. Volume group create. Okay, so how are we going to do that? So we have to type VG create, and then we have to give the name of the volume group. Right here the volume group is volume group. This is created by system here. So but we could we could actually give the label here. When it comes to LVM, you have to give the label. Okay, so label here is a group name. So I'm going to give you ZMPT. Okay, 1. This is the name of a volume group. And then what are we throwing in that pool, in that volume group? I'm going to throw 3 drives in here. 1, 2, 3. So I type the SDB, then SDC, okay, and SDD. So what I'm doing is I'm creating a volume, combining all this together, 3 drives, and I'm putting it together as a single volume group. Okay, so it successfully created the volume group. Now if I type PVS over here, it says volume group here, right? Now in this space it should say ZMPT1. See, there you go. Now these 3 drives are working together as one disk now. This part is successful here. The one in the dark blue is successful here. Okay, 1616 and 8 GB. So it should be 40 GB. Okay, so how we're gonna know? Okay, before that, let me just copy this. All right, guys, are you following along? Because it's dead quiet there.
No, we're following. So far, it's not difficult. Yeah.
Okay, good. This is very, very critical. I would highly recommend once we are done with this, practice this a lot of times. Create, delete, whatever you want to do, add data, remove data, try to lose the data, try to recover the data. And the more you do it, the better it gets. Okay, great. So, okay. Okay, so I copied that. So how you gonna know what do you have all these three? How much data is there? I mean the space is there. There is another command called VG display. Okay, so in here, let's see. So this is the system created volume group. We are not worried about that. We are worried about the volume group name. It says ZMPT1. Okay, because this is the group name we are given. And then what is the format? It's a logical volume. Okay, and how many current physical volumes are in there? It's in there 3 drives. Okay, and how many are active? 3 are active in there. Okay, so here 1, 2, 3. This is where it's coming from. Okay, and other information is there, but it's not ready. And then you have an option here. Is this volume group read and writable? Yes. And the status is resizable. So you, in the future, you could resize this. Okay, I'm going to show you how to do that later on.
So, but therefore, the physical volume is one-to-one mapping always. That one disk is one physical volume because it's physical, right? Or it could
No,
be.
we have 3 physical volumes.
No, but every time we have 3 physical volume, and every physical volume is pointing to one disk.
Yes, it's a part of a group now.
Yeah. So
Now these 3 disks are logged into this group ZMPT1.
yeah, and that is the logical volume basically that the group is.
Yes.
So I'm saying that one logical volume may consist of one or more physical volumes, but one physical volume will consist of one physical drive.
It at least need 1 physical drive. Yes.
At least or always one.
No, it at least need at least 1 physical volume. Right.
I'm asking about the relationship between physical volume and physical disk. It's always one physical disk will be one physical volume, right? Can we have 2 physical
In this
disks?
scenario, we have 3 physical disks with 1 physical volume. We have 1 volume with 3 disks in it. So if you have to have at least one volume, you at least have to have 1 disk, right?
Yeah.
So in this example here, we have 1 volume with 3 physical disks.
Okay. But we ran that command 3 times, right? Create as.
We ran it as a group. You could do this individually. VG create ZMPT1 dev, and then ZMPT VG create ZMPT dev / SDC1, and you could do this separately, or you could do it in one command.
Okay, I was asking about PV create.
Physical volume?
Yeah.
What we did was we readied each PV create. Did I? Oh, I think I missed the step here. So, oh, you're telling here that you could have typed all 3 together?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, you could definitely do that.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. All right. So, great. That's a very good question here. Okay, there is another command, VGS. Okay, so volume group status. What it does is it will give you quick information here. Okay, So what is this information here? Okay, before that, let me just copy all this. Okay, so VG display, we type that command. Okay, so in here, what is this? This is a volume group name. Okay, and then this is obviously the format. This is coming from the command we run. We run the command PV create. This is a PV create command. So when we type PV and then the display name, it made the volume as a logical volume. Okay, so it says metadata area. I'm not sure about that. Okay, I'll come back with that for. And this current volume, this is, it has 3 physical drives in it. And this one is showing active. Okay, and the size. Okay, so it apparently has other data information here too, and then physical. So these things, it has some reserved it uses some reserved, because over here you could see 3.9 and actually it's 4 gigabytes, 40 gigabytes. I'm sorry, but it uses some of this space for writing other information here. Okay, so don't get confused. So when you buy an iPhone, if it says like 64 GB, you don't exactly have a 64 GB space left. It's something is already being used by the file system. Okay, good. So the next command is VGS. Okay, so you got the idea here, right? So it's right here. If you compare the one which is created by the system, we have this has 1 volume, but the one we just created has obviously 3 because we just created one. And then this one has 2 partitions here. We don't have any partitions here. And then this stands for serial number, and these are attributes, and then the volume size and how much is free. Okay. Over here, nothing is free, so everything is being used by this volume. Or you could also type VGS ZMPT1. So it just filters out only ZMPT1 or VG display ZMPT1. So it gives you only information about the volume we have here. Okay. Okay, great. Now what we're going to do is we have this single volume platform here, which is about 40 GB. Okay, now we're going to create partitions here. So earlier we used fdisk command to create partition here, but we're not going to use that. Okay, so we're going to use something else. So what we're going to use it here. So before creating the partitions here, you have to determine what is that partition is being used for. Okay, because for example, we have accounting, and then we have human resource, and then we have finance. Okay, so all these groups, they want to have their own space on the server here. So let me create one more: accounting, human resource, finance, recruiting. Okay, so based on that, we're going to create 4 partitions here in this example. So what is the command to create the logical volume? Logical volume is nothing but a partition. Okay, here, physical volume. Okay, good. VG create volume group. So these are imaginary. These are not physical. Okay. Okay, these are all imaginary. When you say logical, that means these are imaginary. Logical means just you're thinking about it. It's physically it's not there. Okay. So the command to create is lv create. Okay, so lv create. Creates the logical volume. Okay. So how does the command goes? lv create, then you have to give -n. That means you're creating a new volume group. I'm sorry, you're creating a new volume, logical volume, LV, new, and then I'm going to give a name accounting. Okay, and then -L. L means logical, and then what is the size? I want the size to be 4 GB. So I type 4G. And then where are you cutting this out of? I'm cutting this out of the volume group ZMPT1. Okay. Now we are creating partitions in here. This is too dark, right? Okay.
Zafar, like, good question. It's like, is the LVM used for like small companies?
No,
Make it
everybody uses this.
ever. So why would they use the LVM? What's the point?
Yeah, you have to wait until we complete that. You will know.
Okay. Because like I would think like if you just have a one large disk, and then if you have multiple ones, when people use RAID instead of one logical.
We're gonna touch on RAID also.
Okay.
But how the RAID is defined is a little sketchy. RAID is being used also, definitely. But
one advantage would be that we can easily add more disk without changing anything, so
yes.
we can point
Yeah.
logical volume.
I want to hold that thought off until we complete this, because that way, you could see
Okay.
actually what is happening. Okay, so okay. So if I hit enter here, so what if I hit enter, it created the partition name, accounting. So in this case, what are we saying? Partition, logical volume, partition. So we created one partition name, accounting. Okay. How we gonna know if the folder is created or not? You type LV scan, SCAN, logical volume scan. Okay, and you hit enter. So you could see here. Okay, you could see here. Don't worry about this. This is the one created by the system. Okay, but we created one here. This is the imaginary physical disk, and in that we created a partition name accounting. Okay, let me go ahead and quickly create other 4. Okay, there shouldn't be any space in there. Okay, and you create one. Finance, and then I'm going to create one for recruiting. Okay, So we have out of volume group. Okay. LV scan. Okay, so we have 4 gigabytes each. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 partitions we did. Nothing but 4 partitions here. So let me put this command here. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so LV create is a command. Okay, and what are we saying? This is a new, create new, and then we are giving the partition name, or we call it a logical name. Okay, and then we are give what kind of logical is it? This is logical. This is a logical partition, and the size. And then where are you carving this out of? We are carving this out of the volume group ZMPT1. Okay, this is what this command stands for. Okay, so I think we are out of time here. I'm going to stop here, and definitely go ahead and practice what we have been doing here, because I'm seeing the market is